Hey everyone, so let's do a Sazerac lower proof blinds between this Buffalo Trace flagship 90 proof and this 1792 small batch 93.7 proof. Both Sazerac company owned, Buffalo Trace distillery, and this is the Barton 1792 distillery. This just won in my last video. This just beat out the Elijah Craig small batch in the not so great small batch bourbon blind. Whereas there's a lot of small, lower proof bourbons that I'm not crazy about, that I really do like the higher proof siblings, this being one of them, and the Elijah Craig the other one. This one beat the Elijah Craig out, but this is still one that I'm just not crazy about, certainly compared to its the 1792 full proof. On the other hand, the Buffalo Trace is lower proof than both of them. It's only 90 proof, but this is one lower proof bottle that I really like, have always liked, sometimes more than others. It's just crazy priced. This one, at least this one, you can get this at a 29 to low 30s. Elijah Craig around the same price. This one should be that price, and I happen to get this for $32, but you can find it for $45. You can find it for $70, or you may not find it at all. So this one is the odd one out in that regard, but I do feel that this is a solid lower proof bourbon that is a great for beginners and for people who have been in bourbon for a while, like myself and others. So I want to just do a blind. I'm pretty sure, even though this beat out the Elijah Craig, it shouldn't get so cocky because I don't like it that much. I'd be absolutely floored if this Buffalo Trace does not win in blind, but blinds don't lie. Let's give it a shot. Let's pour them up, mix them up, and see what we really think without knowing which one's which. Okay, so we got this poured up, mixed up, have no idea which is which. We'll look straight ahead. Now, the interesting thing with this blind is, obviously, these are both from the same company, Sazerac company, and a lot of people say that the juice in the 1792 is the same juice as Buffalo Trace Mash Bill number 2, which is the higher rye bourbon. I'm not sure if that's true or not 100%, but, it would kind of make sense. There could be something to that, being it's both Sazerac. Now, that being the case, the Buffalo Trace is mash bill number 1, the lower rye mash bill, supposedly less than 10% rye. If it was, and that would make sense because that mash bill number 2 is the higher rye mash bill number 2, which is estimated to be around 13% to 15%, somewhere in that one. That would match this. The interesting thing is in the blind with Elijah Craig, which is the lower proof rye, closer to this one. That's actually what I noticed and enjoyed more, even though I'm not a high rye guy, that there was more flavor in the 1792 compared to Elijah Craig. So this is interesting because I know that I like the Buffalo Trace on paper better than this. So let's see what the blind says. Color I thought was fairly similar. Let's give each a nose. All right, I'm getting a sweeter nose out of this one, so immediately that makes me think this is Buffalo Trace. I'm very biased towards it, but that's why we're doing this as a blind. Let's give this a taste. Cheers. Cheers. I think I know which is which already. We will do this one more time. Cheers. Cheers. I'd be shocked if I'm wrong, but I think I prefer this glass, and I think this is the Buffalo Trace. It is. Okay. Whew. All right. At least the universe exists as I think it should, because then that would just turn everything upside down. Yes, this won against Elijah Craig, but if it won against this, I would be floored. Okay. So, as I said, this being a lower proof than this is the exception to my lower proof rule. It's not necessarily being compared against the higher proof sibling as this is, but there's just a lot of these lower proof bourbons I don't like. This 1792 Elijah Craig Larceny, but this is one that I do like, and I just did a couple of videos coming back to this again, even after all these different bourbons, higher rye, wheated, cigar blend, what else? We got toasted and all different kinds. Coming back to this, I haven't had this for a long time. Just opened this a couple of videos ago, and I still like it. And when you put these side by side, The one thing I noticed against Elijah Craig had more graininess. Some of these lower proofs, for me, I find have more graininess in them as opposed to the higher proofs. That one had more graininess. This had less, but compared to these two, I noticed that graininess more in here, more flavor in here. Let me just taste these side by side once more. A very noticeably better pour than the Buffalo Trace. So, as expected, Buffalo Trace Flagship is the winner of this blind against the 1792 small batch. At least I know that this one was one blind I could predict and was now proven. Cheers.